Ladies and gentlemen, you are now watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie, with your host, Ronald Lynn. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Real Talk with Ronnie. I'm Ronald Lynn, your fantastic host. On our show tonight, we have a friend of mine, an old friend of mine. He's been on our show many times. I first met him in 2021 when we were actually both running for county commissioner in Bergen County. His name is Joe Viso. If you guys might remember, in 21, after he dropped out of the county commissioner race, he decided to run for state assembly in District 36. And him, along with his running mates, the Ariema brothers, did really, really well in 2021. In fact, they almost won, right? So after that race in 21, they decided to band together, stick together, and prepare for the race in 23. And lo and behold, right now we're in 23, and they're running yet again for the legislative seats in District 36. And joining me today is my friend Joe Viso, who has decided to come on and do a solo spot. I don't know what he's trying to tell us. I mean, I don't know if he's got some deep, dark secret that he doesn't want to say in front of his running mates. But anyway, we have him on tonight, just him. And let's bring him on.
You know, one of the reasons I wanted to...
Hey, Joe. What's up?
First of all, how you doing, Ronnie?
Good.
You know, when we all, the three of us are all talking together, I never really get a chance to talk about those guys.
Right.
You know, they are the heartbeat of this campaign. They, you know, aside from the great volunteers that we have, Chris and Craig. Chris is just amazing. He's got so much knowledge in it. And I learn from him every day. I want to fill in the gaps. The guys have better legs than me, so I'm going to try to fill in the gaps and get the word out as much as I can in other ways. But you know, I wish I could keep up with them. They're amazing. I'm blessed that we're blessed to have such amazing. You know, how often do you get twins, identical twins? Although Craig's a little bit bigger than Chris. Soldiers, patriots, Christian, just good all-around guys that care about our country, care about the people of this country, all people, you know.
Right. Now, Chris and Craig, they are identical, right? Not fraternal?
You wouldn't necessarily know it. Like, yeah, Craig likes to pump some iron. So,
right.
But yeah, they are identical. Yeah. And you
Craig is kind of like heftier, right? He's kind of bulkier. And Chris is more lean, right?
Yes. I usually say Craig eats a little bit more than Chris. But Craig, they both work out. They're both athletes, and you know, like they're hard to keep up with it. And I think it's great because it's like Chris will call me every day saying I'm in this town, I'm in that town, and it energizes me to do something and you know, and get out there and work. And you know, the beauty of our campaign is all from the heart. We're built with volunteers. It's okay.
A great. Now, Joe, before we get into, you know, your campaign and your teammates, why don't we talk about you? Since you're on our show tonight solo, right? And I think the last time you were on our show solo was all the way back in 2021, right? So it's been a couple of years. In order to reacquaint you with our viewers, with our audience, why don't you give us a rundown on who exactly is Joe Viso? Let's start from the beginning. Where did Joe Viso grow up, right? What did you do? And what led you to run for office for the first time in 21? And what's guiding you towards public service now?
Well, I first of all, I'm a lifelong, other than being born while my father was serving as a medic, my father's unit was supporting the 82nd Airborne in North Carolina when I was born. But other than that, you know, the first few years of my life, we moved around the country. I don't really remember most of it. Maybe the tail end of it I remember. But other than that, we've been in Bergen County the rest of my life. Since I've been in Carlstadt since I'm 7 years old, I decided to stay here and raise my family here. I'm a licensed electrician. I did 3 apprenticeships, one as an electrician in New Jersey. I did a second one in Local 3, electrical union as an elevator mechanic. I went to the Bergen County Police and Fire Department academy uh, to become a firefighter. And I was for a few years until I'd gotten sick and I had to resign because I had a long bout with cancer. And that led me here in a long roundabout way. I'd gotten sick and I'd gotten a chance to really watch what was going on in our country, and I didn't like it. Um, I really was unsure about, I wanted to make sure our votes were secure, and that most importantly, that we were electing good people with good intentions. Obviously, politics is politics, so it's a dirty game, but it's supposed to be, they're supposed to be representing the people, and the will of the people just doesn't seem to be met. Like they don't they stopped caring about us a long time ago, and it's never been so evident with everything we've seen with the Democrats. To me, it was, I started off in a, just looking at it from as an independent. I was didn't pledge allegiance to any one party, and I watched the impeachments on Trump, and all of these things that happened, and it led me to believe there's only one party that is savable, and that's the Republican Party. I don't believe, I believe Democrats have gone so far off the deep end. They're only for rights for some and not for the entirety. Like, I want all of us to, like, we're all born under different circumstances. We can't change that. That's, you're born where you're born. But the important thing is that we all have, the best possible, and as close to uh, fair, even, first come, first work hard, you know, everything's not first come, first serve, but work hard, and you can still make something of yourself in this country, as I did. I come from a family of immigrants, and I learned to work hard at a young age. I knew, I didn't come from a wealthy family. I knew if I was going to be successful, I would have to get out there and work, and I decided to get into the trades because for me, it was a business that I could start for a relatively small amount of money, and then you could grow it into something as big or as small as you want in that industry, but you're self-sufficient. You're able to take care of yourself, and I created a lot of work for a lot of people, and kept a lot of families fed for a lot of years. And but when I got sick, it just really, it turned my eyes onto the politics, and I realized that I couldn't put myself 100% into business and making money and know that I was leaving a country that was burning for my grandchildren and my children.
Hmm. Now, speaking about your illness, right? And I learned about this back in 21 that you actually died, right? Do you want to speak a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I had lymphoma. I got diagnosed with lymphoma when I was 38, and I wound up the second time my organs started failing. I had, it pulled uh, my gallbladder, and then my heart gave out, and I was in a coma for about a month. And when they tried taking me off of life support, I coded. I died on the table for about 2 minutes, and when I woke up, I was paraplegic.
Wow.
I wound up with had no feeling below the waist, in my legs at all. I couldn't move, I couldn't move my toes, my knees, my thighs. I couldn't squeeze a muscle. I didn't know if I was ever going to walk again.
Now, what was the condition that led you to become a paraplegic after you woke up from your
Yeah,
coma?
that was neuropathy.
Okay.
From doing the chemotherapy. The doctors seemed to feel that it was from doing the chemotherapy, causes severe nerve damage in your body.
Hmm.
And I guess coupled with being in a coma for a long period of time, everything was inactive. When I woke up out of it, it was like all I had was severe pain in my hip, but no feeling anywhere else.
Now, did the doctor say at the time that you would ever get your feelings back, or was it like very touch and go?
They didn't know. No, it was just a wait and see, wait
And
and
how long did it actually take for you to get your feelings back in your legs?
to start getting feeling at all. It took about 3 months. about 3 or 4 months before I knew that I might have a chance. Like I knew, for me, the fact that I had pain at all gave me hope. Like
Mhm.
the pain in my hip, that actual pain to me represented hope that I could regenerate. Like there was a chance, like I refused to believe that I was
But like,
here.
what was the prognosis from the doctors? Like, were they giving you like a 10% chance that you would regain use of your
Would
legs, or
No, they just said it's time will tell.
wow?
No, you know,
Mhm. So,
no.
like, after you got through the 1 month mark and no feeling, 2 month mark and no feeling, at that point, were you kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna remain the rest of my life in like a wheelchair, or were you kind of losing hope?
I didn't know. Like I didn't know. I felt like I was here for. I knew there was something for me. It wasn't. I had a whole other experience when I passed.
Yeah,
Where
let's talk about that, right? So you were clinically dead for 2 minutes, right? Did you experience anything during those 2 minutes when you were not with us?
Well, this is not usually what I like to lead with. 'Cause, you know,
Well, you're the only political candidate I've ever had on my show who's actually
yeah,
died and come
yeah,
back. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's not a question that I can ask, everybody.
sure. Yeah, I died. I went through a very colorful tunnel. It was like the only thing I could, the only thing I saw since that was something similar was something on YouTube. It was showing like a spaceship going through the galaxies and how you get like tunnel vision and the different colors of the nebulas and all that stuff kind of goes around you. That's like the closest thing, like that in a kaleidoscope is like so. But and all the way at the end of the tunnel was just a beautiful, beautiful, very bright, but bright light that wasn't blinding. It was.
So, are you telling us that you went through like a wormhole? It could have been, right?
I, Ronnie, my faith has been restored. I'll tell you that. Um, you know, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to start saying that. I just, to me, what I got out of it was my spirit going. Felt like I got to heaven's door.
Well, okay, so you went through that tunnel, right, with the colorful lights, and then at the other end of the tunnel was this place that was kind of bright, right? Now, did you actually get a chance to venture in that place and that
No,
venture?
I just knew inherently that, and the next step was permanent. And
Oh, okay.
spoke with somebody. It was like a telepathic type of speaking. It wasn't like there was lips. There wasn't a face that I could see in front of me. But I was welcome across, and I have a family, and I just said, hey, I have a wife and kids, and a daughter that's in high school, and Lord knows what we're going through these days with that. I asked to go back, and then I found myself in my body. It was.
Whoa. And just like that, Joe was gone. Oh my gosh. That wasn't planned or cued.
Oh, lose. There we go.
All
It
right.
came in and out for a second. But yeah, it was very vivid to me though, Ron. Like it wasn't like I can see it just like it was yesterday. This is 6 or 7 years ago now. Uh, like I don't want to start off with that because it does sound a little
Well, I
crazy, but
think that's a very powerful and spiritual story, right? So, I mean, when you
yeah,
went through that tunnel, you could feel that you were communicating with some entity, right?
yeah.
And that entity was talking back to you, but it wasn't like a voice, was it?
It was a voice, but it wasn't like it was like a male. It was a male. It wasn't like a voice like I'm
Right.
talking to, right? But I was hearing the words they were saying.
Now,
And
did that voice sound like it was a male voice, a
yeah,
female voice? It was
it
a
was
male voice.
masculine. It was a masculine, but very,
Okay.
just a very welcoming.
Hmm.
Like I felt nothing but love. I wanted to go. I didn't want to come back. Like I felt like, I was home, and it's an experience for me. It's something that's very vivid, and it changed me for the rest of my life. It changed the way I look at things,
So
and
while you were there on that other side, right? You had an inherent urge to want to come back, though, right?
Yeah, well, I never got to the other side. I
Never got
got to
there.
the door. It was
Okay.
like I got to the. It was like I was at the opening. Like the next step was like, that's it, it's permanent. You're going. But yeah, no, I knew I wasn't done here on Earth.
So up until you got to that doorway, you still had sort of like free will to kind of turn back, right?
Yeah, it was, and that's something else that I took from it. It was I still had free will. That was something that was 100% like that I took away from it. Like immediately was like, I went through this and I still had the free will. Like I was welcomed and I was given the opportunity. I don't think I could have really done it without the,
Hmm.
oh, but I had the will. I had the free will. Like I was willed, and it was my choice to come back.
Hmm.
And I was given that choice as well. So it's kind of hard to explain, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's an experience I can't explain. I never had anything like it before, like in that nature.
And I
Um,
think that's actually the best type of explanation, right? That you can't explain it. Because if you could explain it, then it's like nothing new, right? It's the fact that
right.
you can't explain it that sort of adds wonder to it, right? And that sort of shows that it's something that's beyond our immediate grasp.
Yeah, for
Okay.
sure. You know,
So,
it's
so
to me
would you,
solidified. There's more. There's something
right?
more there. I'm a Christian, and it strengthened my Christian beliefs.
Mhm.
But it is different maybe for some other people, but for me, it just strengthened my beliefs. And anyway, when I came back, I knew I had more to do.
Okay. But when you were in that sort of like that nebulous state, right? Was there anything about that other world that made you identify it as like a Christian heaven or like a Jewish heaven or like a Muslim heaven or
You know, my uncle. I give. I'd never been real. Look, I'm a Christian. I grew up Christian. I grew up in the Catholic Italian. And by default, you're Catholic by
right?
default, an Italian family. But like I'm more. I've always identified more as a Christian, and I'd given surrendered myself to Jesus weeks before that, and it was at a time that just felt right for me. It wasn't. I'd never felt right doing it before, and I'm to be honest, it wasn't like I went and had this big revelation at that point. It was just my uncle was praying with me beside the hospital bed. Weeks before I was in the coma, I was still sick. I was in and out of the hospital,
Hmm.
and he just kind of said, "You got to surrender yourself to Jesus," and I felt right, just felt right to me. Like, like there's all kinds of things people talk about Jesus, and to me, it's kind of simple. It's like at the end of the day, Jesus was a pretty good dude. And I hate to say it like that, but he was. And if you're
Yeah.
gonna follow somebody that's led with peace and treated people well, and if not leave, but try to live.
Well, I think not many people can say that they share something in common with Jesus, right? But you can, right? Because you and Jesus both came back from the dead, right?
Yeah, but he went through a whole lot worse
Right.
than I.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm.
Well, I mean, some would say that going through cancer, going through chemo is also pretty horrendous too, right?
Oh yeah. Well, hey man, listen, I would never want to compare
Right.
myself. For me it was more like it was bringing me back to him in a way, like, and it's strange because I've really never been like, I've had a few experiences over the years where like I kind of dropped to my knees. And when you're in business and you're a young businessman, it's not always easy when you got a family,
Hmm.
um and you have a lot of people on your back. And 2008 was a rough time, and I dropped to my knees at that point in time. And one day I said, God, the footprints in the sand poem, I said, I don't feel like those are your footprints. I feel like I'm on my own. And the next day I got a call from a church, and they put me to work for like a month. So I was like, hey, I'm not going to question it. I'm just going to try to live by the best I can and treat
Okay.
people well. And, like, because I'd lost faith a little earlier on, because we'd lost a dear family member. It was a child in a fire years ago, and it was a long struggle, like, because I lost my faith for a long time. So it
Right.
was kind of a circle back to it. But that's not why I'm running. I mean,
Right.
it
Okay.
is.
But anyway, so we're gonna both respectively take off our pastor hats, right, and put on our
Yeah,
political hats again.
yeah.
So okay, so that experience ultimately did kind of alter your way of thinking and made you want to be more involved, right, when it comes to the political landscape, the community with your family, right, and that ultimately led you to want to run for public office in a way, correct?
Sure. Well,
Now,
I'd also coached recreation football and baseball for years, so I'd always been involved in my community in one way or another. Just politically, I never wanted anything to do with it. I just feel like there's too many stupid people running our country, and it drives me crazy when I see some of the people that are
right,
in our Congress. And I feel like there's too many people that have a brain, or they or work hard and they don't have the time to do it. And recovering from all of this, it gave me the opportunity to spend the time and learn about the issues that we're dealing with and try to find some solutions, uh, and just get involved. And that's, to me, is more important right now than any money, because
okay.
you could have all the money in the world, but
Joe, speaking about solutions, right? Because that's ultimately why people run for public office. That's why I ran, right? Because I wanted to offer common solutions to common problems, right? So this year, 2023, what will you and your team do differently this year? And what kind of solutions will you offer this year as opposed to last time? But you know what? Let's not even talk about last time, right? What will you guys do this year in 2023? And what is your platform? What is your solution for the people of District 36?
well, our platforms, veterans and firefighters for families. Um, we're it's from there's so many different issues. Starting with the school issues right now, we want to get our school system back to basics. We're failing our children. It's such a low percentage of the children that are graduating are actually at grade level, reading, writing. You know, excuse me, all of the major subjects. We're forcing ideology on our kids, and failing them where it's important. College is so expensive. If we cut out so many of these garbage, there's a lot of wasted time in schools that we could probably get our kids up to an associate's degree if we actually gave them the right, uh, taught them. Like, we're failing our kids. Like, we need a complete revamp of our education system. We're worried too much about pronouns and not enough about trades and other things. Like, we want to treat everyone with respect. The kids are our future. So, but we need to start actually teaching our kids skills that they can survive in the job market, starting a business, whatever it is, whatever field they want to go into. We should be giving them a good foundation, and instead we're ideologizing our kids. And so that's one of the things. You know Business is just New Jersey. Taxes in New Jersey are crazy, right? People work their whole life to pay off a house in New Jersey, and by the time you're done paying your house off, you got another mortgage, which is
Mhm.
taxes for all these crazy programs. And we need to do something to look more for New Jersey, the hardworking people of New Jersey. Like Murphy says, if taxes are your worry, then you shouldn't live in New Jersey. Well, I'd say that taxes are our worry, and we don't want Murphy here in New Jersey. Like, that's scary. Um, but between that and the medical freedom, I this whole thing with COVID, and I'm having sniffles right now a little bit, but I think that's some allergies. Uh, but with what they've done to try to force vaccines on us, they changed the definitions of what a vaccine is and what it means. So, like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I got the first round of them, and I made an educated decision not to have my children vaccinated, except my older ones. They're adults. I tried not to, because I don't feel like still, even to this day, I don't think that we have enough data in to make a decision that's to guide me towards wanting to take something that you're going to still get COVID. You know, it's crazy. So like there's a lot of issues like that, you know, from the taxes to small businesses stepped on in New Jersey, and where it's getting harder and harder to start a business in this state. There's money leaving at like crazy. You know, people are moving out of state, taking their businesses, taking their money, planting it in other places, just because crime is less, taxes are less in other places. You know, and we're in the front lines of that right here in our district.
Right.
We're we're trying to hold that back. You know, I think during Chittorelli's campaign, I think it was safe to say that New Jerseyans are pretty split down the middle. It doesn't mean that we have to hate each other. You know, what it says to me was that there's enough people that are conservative that we need to get back to governing for, like, when you're elected, you're supposed to be there for all of the people. You know, right? If you're a Republican, you're still supposed to be representing the people who are Democrat in your district. You're supposed to be looking to do the best you can to get best you can for them. And we've lost that in politics today. You know, we used to be taught.
Let me ask you one very important question. So your competition, right, in District 36 are the incumbents, Democrat Paul Sarlo, Gary Shear, and I think Clinton Calabrese, right?
Yeah.
Now, collectively, I believe they have a huge campaign war chest, right? Millions of dollars, right? So it's going to take money to beat them, right? But I think more than money is going to take a good messaging, a good ground game, right? And a pretty massive get out the vote effort, both in the mail-in balloting and in the regular ballots, right? You guys did a good amount of that back in 21, right? You guys were knocking on doors, and since then you've kept at it, right? What do you think will help your team bring home the victory this time around?
Well, first, it's a different campaign. It's a different animal altogether. The first time around, it was just us three knuckleheads slinging literature like it was like we were gunslinging. We were throwing, lit to everybody. We haven't stopped doing that. But this time around, we have an army of people who have volunteered. We've been going out since November. We've been knocking on doors weekly since November. Sometimes several times a week. We get 10, 15, 20 people come out with us at any given time easily. And we've built a team. This time around, we had a group of people right after the congressional election was over. 2 weeks afterwards, we called a meeting. And I wasn't even sure if I was going to run this year. I kind of went into the meeting just a little bit tired, especially after the congressional campaign. But when I saw those people show up and they're there day one, like we just had a rough night, right? But it was rough, but it was very positive, like because our congressional district, Billy did phenomenal. The district moved another 14 points red, and we had one election day in 2021, right? You and I both, we all won election day and that was the first time, to my knowledge, since Sarlo, Calabrese, and Shear have been in office that they'd lost election day. That to my knowledge. So, I just had said, hey, look, let's keep it going. Let's dig in. We put a great team together. We have the wonderful luxury to have absolute patriots who are super smart and super dedicated, and they volunteer day in and day out and give themselves selflessly. And that's the difference between this campaign and the last time it was just three guys and we did pretty good. But, when you like, the only thing that can beat money is hard work, right? You could have all the money in the world, but you know,
Right.
messaging isn't there, and the politics aren't there. The policies aren't there. The policies the Democrats have been handing out has been not doing nothing but skyrocketing our inflation. Job growth has stagnated. Like it's crazy, you
Right.
know. So the message is there. So, and the people are very, very, like, they're passionate, Ronnie. It's beautiful. Like, it inspires me. They inspire me, and then we feed off of each other, and it's growing. It's just growing week in and week out, and we're going after that vote by mail.
You know, Joe, I like the fact that you said that the biggest difference between this time and 21 is that in 21 it was three knuckleheads, right? Slinging, literature. This year around, you guys have an entire army, right? And to prove the point, you guys have a website, right? LD36army.com, right? So for all our viewers that are watching right now, if you want to learn more about Joe Viso and the Oriema brothers and their campaign and how you can get involved and donate, go to www.ld36army.com. ld36army.com. Now, Joe, I think you guys also have an event that's coming up, right?
We don't. Yeah, the districts has the event. I don't have that. I don't know what the date is off the top of my head. I will forward that to, if you could put it in the afterwards, if you can add it, I'd appreciate that. There's
I think I saw an email a couple of days ago about an event. Oh, here we go. Here we go. I think June 29th, there's going to be a beefsteak dinner hosted by District 36 Chairman Joe Crafasi, right? In honor of the District 36, I guess, GOP district and GOP team. And it'll be at the Fiesta in Woodridge on June 29th from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m.
Yes, and we will be there. That's for all of the candidates. That's for all of the local, everybody straight up through District 36. They're going to be spreading that money across to all the candidates, which is something we need to do more. We don't have enough infrastructure in place to help candidates. And it's really hard for new candidates, as you know, to get in there and to raise money. And it can be so overwhelming when you first start out. So I think the chairman's doing a good thing, trying to raise some money for the candidates, and hopefully we can help some candidates in towns that we don't have a heavy strong Republican club or organization, so that we can begin expanding. Because that's what happened in our district. It was kind of somewhat forgotten about to a large degree, and we took the bull by the horns and said, there is no they, we are the they. Mm-hmm. There is no they to depend on. Like, if you're saying that, then you should get involved, because there is nobody going to fight for us if we don't get up and fight for ourselves. And that's really where we're at, right?
All right. So, Mr. Joseph Viso, candidate for State Assembly District 36. Thank you for coming on Real Talk with Ronnie. I understand you've got to run, and you guys are always out meeting voters. So I appreciate the time you've given us today to come on our show to talk about your campaign, about your life story, and also, this fascinating and compelling story about how you literally died and came back to life. I think that's a very heartwarming story and a very moving story for all the voters out there, right? So thank you for sharing with us that story and for sharing with us your vision on how to make District 36 better for all of us. Now, once again, for the viewers and listeners that want to check out your campaign, they can go to www.ld36army.com. Thank you, Joe, and we'll catch you on the campaign trail, okay?
Love to the family. I hope the wife and the little ones are doing well. And I'll talk to you very soon, Ron. Thank you. Take care.
All right.
Thanks for watching and listening to Real Talk with Ronnie. To watch and learn more about our show, including ways to contact us and how you can be a guest, go to realtalkronnie.com.